Good morning, everybody. My name is Bob Davidson. I'm the president and CEO of the Seattle Aquarium. I want to welcome you all here today. As you can see, it's a happening place, and as you'll learn more, it'll be even more happening soon. I'd like to welcome Mayor Durkan and our waterfront neighbors and all the honored guests and the press. I'd like to start today by humbly acknowledging, as we all know, that we are on the homelands of the Coast Salish people who have and continue to steward these lands and waters for generations. 10 years ago this month, the elected leaders from all throughout the region assembled right in front of the window on Washington Waters over there and launched an agreement to work together for the transformation of the waterfront and the city of Seattle. It's very fitting that we're back again with Mayor Durkan. I'd like to thank the many stakeholders who are here today for their work in recent weeks and in recent years on the waterfront redevelopment project. The next few years promise to be a transformational time, and your hard work is appreciated by us all. The Waterfront for All represents a visionary investment by the citizens of Seattle, of Washington State, of King County, and the Port of Seattle. And these important projects partner with many philanthropic leaders throughout the region who care deeply about the future of our great city. The connections to be made between the Pike Place Market, the Overlook Walk, the new Ocean Pavilion for the aquarium will be historic for our city and will be an incredible asset for our regional economy, environment, and quality of life. Needless to say, we here at the aquarium are thrilled. With that, I'd like to thank you all for being here and to kick things off by introducing someone who has put her heart and soul into this waterfront project over many, many years. Thank you, Maggie Walker.
So this is an incredible opportunity for me to say thank you to everybody who worked on this project and all the citizens of this city who have supported and given us input about what it should be. I am confident that this is going to be one of the most important things that our generation provides for this city, and that's why I've spent the last 10 years working on it. And we've been through a lot together as a team, but this is worth it. And I just want to say thank you to the team who brought us through. They knew who they are on the city. They've been with us the whole way, believe it or not. And that is the secret of our success. We have been attentive to what we wanted to accomplish, and we have been persuasive. So I'm so excited today. It's a very emotional moment for me. I'm past the age of retirement now, so I feel like, oh boy, but we still have work to do, and we're gonna do it. But I want to thank in particular Heidi Hughes, who's the executive director of the Friends of Waterfront Seattle, has been with us for about 6 or 7 years, working her heart out. I want to thank Pike Place Market folks. I want to thank the aquarium folks, the historic waterfront folks, and the Pike Place Alliance. They worked with us for the last 10 years to make this project happen in its entirety. It is with great honor and excitement that I also want to present to our mayor, Mayor Jenny Durkan, a medal, because I think she deserves our thanks for seeing this through. We've been through a few mayors, folks, and Jenny put us over the top, and I think she deserves a huge thank you for putting us over the top. Says excellent human.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maggie, and thank you for everyone being here. Thank you, Bob, for letting us be at the aquarium. I can't think of a better place to be and a better time to do it. The voices of those children are why we are here. This will be transformative for Seattle. Mark my words, Every one of you is at the equivalent of the groundbreaking for the Space Needle. This is a time in Seattle history when we are remaking the city in a way that people cannot even begin to fathom. But when it is done, they will be amazed. I also want to thank a number of people, including everyone who is, not just Maggie, but everyone in Waterfront for All. Brian Surratt, who's here, Marshall Foster, and all his team who worked on this so hard, the Department of Parks, Thatcher Bailey, I could go on. You know, the Pike Place, Pine Street, the improvements that's going to happen under this, just be thinking of the overlook wall. When this viaduct is torn down, I have said it before, but I will say it again, there will be a collective gasp in this city to see the reality of what this city is like without that freeway separating us from our heart and soul, the waters of Puget Sound. And I believe if anyone's been to San Francisco and the Embarcadero, how that waterfront has been remade since that viaduct came down in an earthquake is phenomenal. And Seattle will even be better because look out these windows, we're already better. But it will take some time. I know we're gonna get to it later, but with this amazing thing, we know also comes pain. With everything that gain comes a lot of pain that we'll be talking about. It is incredibly rare that a city has the chance to take on a project in a built environment like ours that will totally transform that city, its outlook, its feel, and what it is giving to the generations of the future. When this project is finished, I think that this waterfront will not only rival the High Line in New York or Stanley Park or the waterfront on the lake in Zurich, it will be one of the global destinations that everybody talks about. And they do it because we're going to do it right. It's why it is such an historic day to show that this waterfront is not just for the homeowners who live here and for the people and the tourists that come. This is a waterfront for all. And I have to thank all those people who have worked over the years to make sure that it lives up to that vision. Everyone from the Downtown Seattle Association to the aquarium to Pike Place Market to literally the hundreds of people throughout this city in every neighborhood asking, what do you want for your city on the waterfront? To help build this, it is an amazing thing that the overall amount that the Friends of the Waterfront has agreed to contribute over $110 million. The state is contributing over $193 million. Through the local improvement district, the downtown property owners will be contributing over $160 million, and the city's contribution will be right around $248 million. So over $700 million committed to this project. The people of Seattle will be contributing roughly a third of that amount. The local improvement district has been a really key part of this, and I want to thank the people who have been working so hard to make sure that we got an agreement that fit with what the needs of the Seattle city, also made sure that we protected those homeowners and commercial districts, that they would pay their fair share. The typical downtown condo with the LID will pay about $7 a month or $84 a year over 20 years. In other words, they got 20 years to pay $1,700. The typical commercial property will see an increase of about $3,500 over 20 years. That works out to about $24 a month. For all of them, the investment will be more than worth it. It is going to be remarkable because not only will the viaduct and that scar that separates us from our waterfront be gone, the noise will be gone. The Pike Place Market will be connected through the Overwalk. There'll be a 20-acre park in the heart of the city. Through all this process, we have really tried to engage as a city. We've talked to over 17,000 individuals since 2011, and the ordinance that we'll be submitting to council today to approve the lid is supported by not just the commercial and residential property owners, but by all the people who have worked so hard to do this. Again, I want to thank the Pike Place Market, the aquarium, the Alliance for Pioneer Square, Former Mayor Charles Royer, I don't know if he made it here today. We got to give him a special round of applause. You know, every mayor gets to stand on the shoulders of the mayors who came before, and this mayor has let a lot of people stand on his shoulders for a lot of years, and his vision and his love for this city has never quit, and he continually pushed and had the vision for this waterfront. So Charlie, thanks for all you've done for the city, and thanks for this. Councilmember Bagshaw and Deborah Juarez couldn't be here, but they have been key proponents for this, and again, the Office of the Waterfront in the city has been working tirelessly to get this done. Now, I know change is not always easy. There are those of us, myself included, who have a little bit of love for the viaduct. I will say that when I drive on the viaduct, I try to go as fast as I can now since the earthquake. But it's been part of our history. And I love a lot of the art that's been done depicting the viaduct, particularly in the last couple of years, to show what that meant to the city of Seattle. So while it comes down and represents that kind of gritty past that is Seattle, in this transformation, we will get something that is quintessentially Seattle, that is based on our heritage, whether it is the natives who first live here, the Native Americans, the fish or the orca who live in these sounds, or the symbol that the Puget Sound has always represented for our region. Now, I know we have to get prepared because it doesn't come without another price. We are going to be having a period of time, not just when this viaduct comes down, but over the next few years, when mobility in and around the city of Seattle is going to be incredibly challenging. And I have said it before, but we will say it again. We are calling on everyone to do their part. Hi, guys. How's it going? All right. Someday you're going to be that scuba diver in the tank. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? That's the job I really wanted. It's my next job. But so we need people to bike, to walk, to bus, to carpool. If they can work remotely, work remotely. If you can change your hours, change your hours. And this is not going to be just a short-term fix. The viaduct period is going to be the first part of it and the most extreme, but it is a long-term period of time in Seattle because as the convention center construction begins, all those buses that are in the bus tunnel will be coming onto our city streets. And we are going to be prioritizing mobility for buses and transit to get through the city of Seattle because that moves the most people. Many of you know that I announced this morning that we'll be having retired Air Force General Michael Warden serve as our first ever Director of Citywide Mobility Operations Coordination. With his decades of experience in crisis planning, operations, and fast-changing periods of uncertainty, he is going to help ensure we are meeting the challenge and continuing to deliver critical services like public safety. It's really important to know that this time of challenge for Seattle is bigger than any one department. It involves 29 departments in the city of Seattle. If you think about it, just right before the Seahawks game, there was a car accident on the light rail tracks. Suddenly, many, many people were not able to go because the trains couldn't travel. That's not an SDOT problem. It's a SPD problem and a sound transit problem. So any one of these things, a big tree comes down in a major thoroughfare. That is both, could be City Light, Seattle Public Utilities, SDOT. We need to make sure that one person is in charge of all the coordination over working with the city departments so that they can focus on their jobs. We're going to help sure we limit the impact on mobility during this multiple year period and make sure that we can also deliver not just freight mobility, not just commuter mobility, but when we need fire and police to get through the city, they can actually get through the city to help people. So, as I've said, there's hardly any gain in life that doesn't require a little pain. And the viaduct coming down and the waterfront is going to be a transformative, positive change for the generations of Seattle to come. But to do that, we will be suffering through some pain too. Not just in the next 24 months as the viaduct comes down, but also as we continue to rebuild many parts of Seattle. Legislation is we'll be working in Olympia to help us on these, including things like getting camera authority for block the bus lanes, block the bike lanes. We will be, at the end of the day, through this difficulty, I want everyone to know their contributions, their sacrifices, the difficulties they are facing will build a better Seattle for the next generation and the generation after that. Because this waterfront really will be the waterfront for all. Now I want to turn it over to someone from the Pike Place Market Association. Rico. Oh, no, you're here instead. Brian. All right. Brian Surratt.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Durkan. So my name is Rico Kading-Dongo. I'm a civic design leader with DLR Group out of our Seattle office, and I'm also the Pike Place Market PDA Council Chair. I'm a youngin' to this group. I've only had the good fortune of being able to be involved in the effort for the last 5 years. It's been at least 10 years in the making, certainly more than that. As a young architect back in 1999, I had to leave the city for 3 years, which was incredibly painful for me because I saw transformation happening here on a large scale, on a civic scale. The investment with light rail, a new civic library downtown, and I thought I was going to miss out. Little did I know, coming back 3 years later, how much more, how much more there would be to come. So whether what's happening with Seattle Center Arena and transformation of so many things there, the heart of the city, both at Seattle Center and at Pike Place Market, we're just getting started, and it's extremely exciting. Things that come to my mind: history, commitment, and community. We're looking at the strong foundation that we have, all of the things that we have done to build Seattle to be the great international city that we are, and we're taking it to that next step forward. People do not, it's very interesting, in the world of construction, people don't get excited until they start seeing stuff happening. When the viaduct comes down starting next week, people are going to get super excited. I think for us at Pike Place Market, it has been really an honor to be in partnership with the city, with the mayor's office, with Office of Waterfront and Civic Projects, with Office of Friends of the Waterfront, with the aquarium, being able to be a part of this large team and to visualize what our future could look like, which is better than what we have today, to remove that barrier that keeps us from the city, that allows us to see better, to allows us to experience better, to allow us to come together better. The PDA, the Pike Place Market, we're very committed to ensuring that what we've started with Market Front and that new placemaking, that it's the first phase of this next experience with Overlook Park, with the Overlook Walk, with a 20-acre park across the city, that will continue to be a part of that change and are very excited about what role we'll be able to play in that. And, you know, it's go time. So thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Rico. And for people his last name is spelled Quirondongo, Quirondongo. Is that right? The vision behind this and the community-based placemaking, I think, is unrivaled for any project that we've done in the city of Seattle. I want to thank you, but thank again everybody who's been a part of this now for such a long period of time. We are about to embark on one of the most significant projects that the city of Seattle has ever done. And the generations in the future will thank us for it. So with that, any questions? Essex.
The Waterfront Park is a citywide benefit, as you said. Why put a special burden on the condo owners who happen to live near the waterfront? Shouldn't the entire city bear the entire burden?
The entire city actually is bearing a significant portion of this, but as you know, the local improvement district is a device we use so that those property owners that benefit most from improvements that the rest of the public supports actually support it. And so that was one of the negotiations we had with the group. We resolved it. They agree. They're very supportive of this. And as you've seen, $1,700 over 20 years, I don't think people would say is a burden. I think they would say is the benefit that they will get and that the documentation and appraisals show over that same 20-year period of time far outstrips that.
And so the plan originally was for...
Go ahead, right over here.
Waterfront question.
Go ahead.
I have a question about General Warden. Can you explain the decision-making powers he has? Is he going to supersede the 29 departments, and who is he going to report to?
No, he is going to. He will report to me and also deputy director. He will be at cabinet level. We have a regular sub-cabinet group that meets about the period of maximum constraint. And one of the things that we've identified is that if it's nobody's job, it's nobody's job. And this period of time is going to require an enormous amount of coordination. And so the general will be providing that one point of contact in the city across all departments to make sure that if we have mobility challenges that are not foreseen, that we're able to coordinate and scramble to those immediately. Sometimes it could involve, you name a city department, and it will become involved in this period of time. Dan, I cut you off. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So the original plan was $200 million from the lid. Now it's going to be 160. It looks like some of that extra difference is coming from philanthropy, but also city funds. What city funds?
We have, as you know, there's a commercial parking tax that has been utilized for various things. Some of the capacity of that is going to be available now because bonds are coming off, and so we will be using the commercial parking tax capacity to fund that additional amount so that essentially downtown will be paying for the development of downtown. Again, that was in coordination with stakeholders. We talked to people. It will not be new taxes. It turned out that we had the capacity because of bonds and other things already coming off of using that amount.
Can construction begin if the lid is not approved by the council?
We will begin construction on various parts of the waterfront, but obviously the council approving this lid is going to be a critical component of getting what we need to have the vision of the waterfront for all.
I have another question about General Warden. You said that if it's nobody's job, that it's nobody's job, but wouldn't it, I mean, a week ago you were saying that Sam Zimbabwe, the new SDOT director you appointed, it was going to be his job or part of his job to coordinate all this, so...
Actually, I didn't say that if you'd listened carefully. I talked to Sam at length when he was hired about the focus that SDOT needed and what we would be doing in the period of maximum constraint. And he was very much in favor of having a person who would coordinate across departments because this isn't just SDOT, it's much better than that. And I think as everyone knows that even if we weren't in this very challenged time regarding mobility, that the Seattle Department of Transportation is a full-time plus job for the new director coming in. And so I expect Sam will have full authority and responsibility to carry out all the big projects that the Seattle Department of Transportation has on the decks, to be managing the right-of-way and to be working. But this coordination goes far beyond Seattle Department of Transportation. It affects the Seattle Fire Department, Seattle Public Utilities, Seattle City Light, Seattle Police Department. So we need one person at the cabinet level who can coordinate every single one of these agencies so that the people of the city of Seattle know that we're doing everything we can during this very difficult time.
As your representative, is he going to make decisions for the new SDOT director?
No, the new SDOT director is going to run SDOT. And the general is going to be the point of contact for coordinating the citywide response involving 29 departments for this period of maximum constraint.
Mayor, what sort of assurances or agreement do you have with the downtown property owners that they won't protest this? What is
They've agreed they will not protest it.
Is there, I mean, is this in writing? How?
Yes.
But does this include the individual condo owners? Most of the
Yes.
property owners in this
We
are...
have sufficient, as you know, you have to get to a certain threshold to challenge it. We have enough property owners who have agreed to the lid at this amount that kind of challenge is not possible under this agreement.
Folks are large commercial property owners, but the individuals who own condos here on the waterfront,
No,
they're the ones that spoken out.
I think that if you can talk to Mayor Royer afterwards, actually the individual condo organizations have been on board for a period of time.
Follow-up question on General Warden. Why is he responding to Deputy Mayor Fong rather than Deputy Mayor Ranganathan, who oversees transportation?
Again, this isn't about just transportation. This is about a response for 29 departments. And Senior Deputy Mayor Fong is the Senior Deputy Mayor, so he reports actually to me, but he coordinates with Senior Deputy Mayor Fong.
Can you talk about the condo owners and how you came to terms with them? And who represents the condo owners, and is that person here to say we are on board with this?
It's a variety depending on, as you know, there's a number of condominiums up and down in this period that would be affected. And I won't promise you that there's not a single condo owner who doesn't wish that they weren't having an assessment, but we are positive now that there are not enough property owners who will protest this lid that it calls it into question. And if you look at what the amount is over 20 years, and the monthly amount, which roughly for the average condo owner is about $7 a month, and they're going to get an amenity that will increase the value of their property significantly more than that.
The commercial parking tax, can you be sure that that's a sustainable source to make up for the lost $40 million?
It's projected to be, yes.
Mayor, there's an agreement in place, it sounds like, but you still have to submit the legislation to the city council, and the city council has to take a look at it. What if they change something about the plan? What happens to the agreement then?
I'm very confident that the Waterfront for All Park will go forward. I think that the legislation is exactly within the parameters that the City Council was expecting. And the benefit of it is we do not have to increase revenues, that there will be a local improvement district that will burden that. And the vast majority of this comes from non-public. Philanthropy is kicking in, the state is kicking in. So the City of Seattle, even through the commercial parking tax, is contributing the less amount of all the funders.
Is there a short response to those who are just looking at a new mobility director and saying that's expensive and redundant?
I think that what I've actually heard from people is we're going through a really hard period of time. We want to make sure somebody's in charge of getting it right. As you know, we've set up an emergency operations center, so there will be 24/7 coverage of all the parts of the city. We have sent out directives to all the departments from City Light to Public Utilities to Seattle Police. They'll be doing traffic stops differently. If there's accidents that occurred, the first thing is going to be for public safety and for if there's any humans hurt. But if not, then we're going to be moving things out of the way. So all systems across every department has to change. And what I think the public wants to know is there somebody who's going to make sure that things get done? And we're going to make sure there's somebody to get things done.
What's the timeline for breaking ground here on the waterfront and getting the park completed?
Let me get back to you on the exact completion day of the park, but we're already underway. I mean, there's things happening down at the piers down the road. So we're already underway, and this just makes it so that we know that the next steps are sure to happen after the viaduct comes down.
Question with regard to the lid. There were other elements of the proposal that weren't monetary that were being discussed, like security plans and and how to deal with homeless situation on the waterfront. Can you talk a little bit about what was decided, if anything?
We can make the full agreement, obviously will be made available to everyone, but the number one thing we have to make sure is that this is a waterfront for all, and we mean that. It is something to be enjoyed by everybody in Seattle, regardless of where they live or where they're from, and not just tourists and others who we're going to welcome with open arms. And so we made sure that throughout that document that for example, there's an oversight board, that it included representatives of non-property owners that are in the lid, but from other parts of the community in Seattle. We also made sure that this public park is like any other public park in the city of Seattle. So I know there's been a lot of written. You'll have the document. If you have specific questions, happy to answer all those questions.
Does this plan require anything to be scaled back in the new park?
No. All right, thank you very much. If you have time, enjoy the aquarium. But if not, we'll see you back here when this is done, and everyone is going to say this is amazing. Thanks very much.